All right, you glorious bastards, strap yourselves in, because today we're diving headfirst into a shitstorm of epic proportions,
Oh, yeah.
the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah.
And let's cut the crap. This ain't your grandpa's World Cup.
Right.
We're talking 48 fucking teams, 3 host countries, a final in goddamn New Jersey. Like, FIFA went on a bender and said, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's make it as big and messy as humanly possible.
It's certainly a bold move. Some might say batshit. The logistics alone are enough to make your head spin.
We've got excerpts from the Wikipedia page
Okay.
for the 2026 FIFA World Cup to guide our deep dive today. And let me tell you, even Wikipedia can't sugarcoat this clusterfuck.
Right.
So to help us navigate this beautiful disaster, we've got our expert here. Someone who can hopefully make sense of FIFA's drunken rambling.
Hopefully.
First up, what the fuck is with this 48-team format, 48?
Yeah.
It's like they're inviting your weird uncle's bowling team to the World Cup.
Well, the seeds for this clusterfuck were actually sown way back. Even before Infantino, FIFA's current ringmaster, took the stage, Michel Platini, UEFA's former head honcho, was already floating this ridiculous idea back in 2013.
So this isn't some new visionary idea from Infantino.
Yeah.
More like a recycled turd they're trying to polish up and sell as revolutionary.
Exactly. FIFA's argument is that it makes the tournament more inclusive, spreads the football love and all that bullshit. But let's be real, more teams mean more games.
Right.
More TV deals, more sponsorships, more money lining those FIFA assholes' pockets.
Oh, you mean the same FIFA that's notorious for corruption scandals and backroom deals?
Uh-huh.
The same FIFA that treats human rights like a suggestion.
That's the one.
Yeah, I'm sure they're really concerned about spreading the football love.
Cynical but accurate. Now, initially, they were proposing groups of 3 teams, which, as you can imagine, open up a whole new level of fucked up possibilities for match fixing and collusion.
Groups of 3. Seriously.
Yeah.
Imagine the backroom deals 2 teams colluding to screw over the third line. It'd be like watching a rigged poker game with the world's hopes and dreams as the chips.
Thankfully, even FIFA seemed to realize that a 3-team group format was a recipe for disaster. They eventually landed on 12 groups of 4, which is still a whopping 104 matches over 39 days.
39 days, fuck me. That's longer than some marriages. More teams, more games, more money for FIFA. But where the hell are they going to play all these matches? They need a continent the size of fucking Jupiter to accommodate this circus.
Well, that's where things get even more interesting, shall we say. For the first time in World Cup history, we've got not 1, not 2, but 3 countries hosting this behemoth: Canada, Mexico, and the United States.
The North American trifecta of footballing glory. Has FIFA completely lost its goddamn mind? This is uncharted territory, folks. 3 countries, 48 teams, 104 matches. It's like they're intentionally trying to create the most logistically complex, financially bloated spectacle in the history of sports.
And this 3-headed beast of a World Cup bid actually went head-to-head with a rival bid from Morocco. Of course, FIFA being FIFA had to throw in some political maneuvering regarding continental rotation, ensuring the North American bid came out on top.
Shocker. FIFA and political maneuvering. Name a more iconic duo. But seriously, why would any 3 countries voluntarily subject themselves to this level of clusterfuck?
Yeah.
It's got to be more trouble than it's worth, right?
On the surface, it seems insane. But remember, we're talking about a massive economic boost, a tourism bonanza, and the bragging rights of hosting the world's biggest sporting event.
Okay, so basically a shit ton of money in international dick measuring contests.
Pretty much.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
But let's get real. Who actually gives a flying fuck about a World Cup in fucking New Jersey?
Well, that brings us to the venues, and trust me, things are about to get weird. Initially, the bid included a mind-boggling 43 potential stadiums. They eventually whittled it down to a measly 16.
43 stadiums. Jesus Christ, were they going to play matches in people's backyards? Let's be honest, some of these stadiums probably haven't seen this much action since a monster truck rally rolled through town.
You're not far off. In a truly bizarre twist, some of these chosen venues are primarily used for American football, or, get this, baseball. We're talking about iconic baseball stadiums being repurposed for the beautiful game.
Baseball stadiums.
Yeah.
It's like serving a 5-star meal on a paper plate. This is the World Cup, not a goddamn picnic in the park.
And to add another layer of absurdity, many of these U.S. stadiums have artificial turf, which FIFA is notoriously not a fan of.
The irony is palpable, folks. The beautiful game played on fake grass in a baseball stadium in goddamn New Jersey. It's like watching a Shakespearean play in a Chuck E. Cheese.
Some stadiums will actually need to rip out their perfectly good artificial turf and replace it with natural grass just to appease FIFA's delicate sensibilities.
Unbelievable. But let's move on to the teams themselves.
Hmm.
With 48 slots up for grabs, the qualification process is going to be an absolute bloodbath.
It's going to be brutal.
It's like the Hunger Games of football, but instead of fighting to the death, they're fighting for the right to get their asses handed to them by Brazil.
Well, naturally, the 3 host nations get automatic bids. No surprise there.
Of course. It's their party, after all. They get to invite whoever they want, even if it means letting Liechtenstein in for a good laugh.
Right.
But seriously, how does this qualification shitstorm even work?
The remaining slots are divvied up among the continental confederations, and for the first time ever, Oceania gets a guaranteed spot. So even those tiny island nations, the ones you've probably never even heard of, get a chance to strut their stuff on the world stage.
Vanuatu versus Brazil. Anyone, I'd put money on Vanuatu just for the sheer entertainment value.
And then there's this beautiful creation called the Intercontinental Playoff Tournament, which is basically a 6-team death match for the final 2 spots.
So it's like the football version of a gladiatorial arena where nations battle it out for a chance to get humiliated on a global scale. Sign me the fuck up. But seriously, with this many teams vying for a spot, the competition's got to be cutthroat. We're talking backstabbing, sabotage, maybe even some voodoo curses thrown in for good measure.
Let's just say the road to the 2026 World Cup will be paved with the shattered dreams of countless nations and the overflowing bank accounts of those FIFA asshats. So we've established that this World Cup is shaping up to be a logistical and financial clusterfuck of epic proportions. But let's dive deeper into the heart of this beast, shall we? Where exactly are they going to cram all these players and fans?
Yeah, let's talk about these venues. You mentioned something about baseball stadiums and artificial turf. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that they're letting America host any part of this, let alone the lion's share of the games.
You're telling me 16 cities across 3 countries. 2 in Canada, which is reasonable. 3 in Mexico also makes sense. But a whopping 11 in the United States? Talk about an ego trip. It's like they're trying to turn the World Cup into a goddamn American sporting franchise.
America, the land of Budweiser and monster trucks. You're telling me they're going to host more games than Mexico? The country that practically invented beautiful football? It's enough to make Maradona spin in his grave.
Well, they're certainly contributing the lion's share of the stadiums, and not all of them are exactly what you'd call football havens.
Oh yeah, you're about to tell us about those baseball stadiums.
Picture this. You've got iconic venues like the Azteca in Mexico City, a temple of football steeped in history and passion. Then you've got places like Gillette Stadium in Boston, home to the New England Patriots.
Hold the fucking phone. Tom Brady's stomping ground is going to host a World Cup match. I can already hear the collective groan of football purists around the world. They're probably drafting a strongly worded letter to FIFA as we speak.
And it gets even weirder. Some of these American stadiums are indoor venues complete with retractable roofs and climate control.
Climate control.
Yeah.
Seriously, are they going to pump in fake crowd noise and pre-recorded chants too?
Right.
This is the World Cup, not a goddamn Disney World attraction.
It's certainly a far cry from the traditional open-air stadiums with their unpredictable weather and passionate crowds, but I guess it does ensure that the matches won't be disrupted by a little thing like, actual weather.
Because nothing says World Cup atmosphere like playing in a sterile air-conditioned box, right? They might as well hold the matches in a goddamn shopping mall while they're at it. At least the beer would be cheaper.
Speaking of artificial environments, let's not forget the issue of artificial turf.
Ah, yes, the great fake grass debate. It's like arguing about whether ketchup belongs on a hot dog. Some things are just sacred, and natural grass on a football pitch is one of them.
FIFA seems to agree. They're actually working with researchers to figure out how to grow grass indoors for those climate-controlled stadiums. Imagine that scientists toiling away in labs trying to create the perfect strain of grass to appease FIFA's delicate sensibilities.
It's like something out of a dystopian sci-fi novel. Genetically modified grass for a genetically modified World Cup. What's next? Cyborg referees, holographic fans. They're going to turn this beautiful game into a goddamn video game.
While we're on the topic of artificiality, did we mention that FIFA is, as always, very particular about its sponsorships, which means you can kiss goodbye to those charmingly named stadiums like Budweiser Stadium or Coca-Cola Field.
Oh, the humanity. What will we do without the constant bombardment of corporate branding? It's like they're taking away a fundamental part of a World Cup experience.
Sarcasm aside, FIFA is going to rake in an obscene amount of money from these sponsorships. And let's not forget the broadcasting deals with Fox and Telemundo. They're going to milk this cash cow for all it's worth.
And we, the loyal fans, will be the ones shelling out our hard-earned cash to watch this spectacle. We'll be bombarded with commercials for overpriced beer, fast food, and cars we can't afford. It's all part of the FIFA experience, right?
Sadly, yes. But enough about the cynical side of things. Let's talk about the opening match. Who gets the honor of kicking off this three-ring circus?
Well, if FIFA had any sense of justice, they'd let Mexico host the opening match. It's their game, damn it.
You're in luck. Mexico will indeed host the first match on June 11th, 2026 at the legendary Azteca Stadium.
The Azteca, thank fuck for that.
Yeah.
At least they got something right. I can already picture it. A packed stadium, the roar of the crowd, the smell of tacos and tequila in the air. That's what a World Cup opening match should feel like.
Canada also gets an opening match the following day at BMO Field in Toronto. And of course, the U.S. couldn't be left out of the party, so they get their first game at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles.
SoFi Stadium, the place where they hold those fancy Hollywood award shows. Talk about a culture clash. It's like inviting Snoop Dogg to perform at the opera.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. Remember, this is FIFA we're talking about. They love a good spectacle, even if it's completely absurd.
Right, so we've got the opening matches sorted.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Everyone's just waiting for the knockout stage when the real drama begins. That's when the gloves come off, the stakes are high, and the tears flow freely.
Indeed. The knockout stage is where legends are made, where dreams are shattered, and where FIFA probably makes the most money.
Speaking of money, did we mention that the grand finale of this footballing extravaganza is being held in, wait for it, New Jersey?
Yes, at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, to be precise. It's the largest stadium in the tournament with a capacity of over 82,000.
New Jersey? The final? Are you fucking kidding me? It's like holding the Super Bowl in a goddamn landfill.
Well, it's a state-of-the-art stadium, and FIFA likely chose it for its size and accessibility.
Accessibility to what? Toll booths and traffic jams. Let's be... New Jersey is about as far from a footballing mecca as you can get. It's the armpit of America.
I wouldn't go that far. It is a major transportation hub close to New York City.
Okay, I get it. Logistically, it makes sense. But still, New Jersey, it's like serving champagne in a Dixie cup. It feels wrong.
Perhaps not. But let's not forget that football is a global game, and the beauty of the World Cup is that it can be played anywhere, even in the most unexpected of locations.
Fine, you win. But I'm still not convinced that this whole thing isn't going to be a giant, overblown, money-grabbing spectacle that leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
Well, that's part of the fun, isn't it? The unpredictability, the drama, the sheer scale of it all. It's a global phenomenon, a cultural touchstone, a chance to witness history in the making.
Yeah, you're right. It's a beautiful, messy, chaotic, and utterly captivating spectacle, even if it is being held in a baseball stadium in New Jersey.
Precisely. And speaking of spectacle, FIFA is already pulling out all the stops with the marketing.
Oh, yeah. How could we forget about the logo debacle? That was a real masterpiece of graphic design.
It certainly generated a lot of buzz, though. Not all of it was positive.
I think. It pretty much sums up the general reaction. It's like they hired a 5-year-old to design it on Microsoft Paint.
Well, FIFA claims it's a bold and innovative design. But let's be real, it's all about the money. They've already secured those broadcasting deals, and sponsors are throwing cash at them like it's going out of style.
Of course they are. It's the World Cup, the biggest sporting event on the planet. It's a license to print money, and FIFA's going to make sure they squeeze every last penny out of it.
Indeed. And with the expanded format and 3 host countries, the revenue potential is even greater.
Which means more money for FIFA, bigger bonuses for those FIFA suits, and more expensive tickets for us, the poor suckers who actually want to watch the games.
That's a cynical way to look at it, but not entirely inaccurate.
Hey, someone's got to keep it real. But let's be honest, we're all going to watch this shit show, aren't we? Even if it means selling a kidney to afford a ticket.
Of course we are. It's the World Cup. It's a global phenomenon, a cultural touchstone, and a chance to witness history in the making. Even if it's history made in a baseball stadium in New Jersey.
We got that right. It's a train wreck we can't look away from.
And on that note, let's talk about the fans. Where the hell are they going to party?
Ah, yes. The fan fests. Because watching the games on a giant screen with thousands of other sweaty, beer-soaked fans is almost as good as being there, right?
FIFA has announced locations for these football bacchanalias in 5 cities: Houston, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Seattle, and Vancouver.
So basically 5 giant beer gardens with massive screens and a bunch of rowdy fans looking to get their drink on? Sign me the fuck up.
Well, it's a chance for fans from all over the world to come together and celebrate the beautiful game, even if they don't have tickets to the matches.
Or if they're just there for the cheap beer and the chance to grope someone in the crowd. Let's be real. These fan fests are a breeding ground for debauchery.
Let's hope things don't get too out of hand. But yes, there's definitely a festive atmosphere with live music, food stalls, and all sorts of activities.
Sounds like my kind of party. I might have to make a pilgrimage to one of these fan fests just to witness the madness firsthand. But let's zoom out for a second and consider the bigger picture. What does this supersized World Cup mean for the future of football?
That's a good question. Will this 48-team format become the new norm? Will we see even more countries bidding to host this monstrosity?
Is this the beginning of the end for the World Cup as we know it? Will it become so bloated and commercialized that it loses its soul?
It's hard to say. There are arguments on both sides. Some believe that expansion dilutes the quality of the tournament, while others see it as a positive step towards greater global inclusion.
Yeah, I can see both sides. On the one hand, I love the idea of those underdog nations getting a shot at the big time. But on the other hand, I don't want to sit through a month of blowouts and boring matches.
The 2026 World Cup will be a test case for this new format. If it's a success, we could see it adopted for future tournaments. If not, FIFA might have to rethink its strategy.
Either way, it's going to be a hell of a spectacle. I just hope they have enough beer to go around.
And enough security to contain the inevitable chaos.
True enough. Well, folks, there you have it. We've dissected the good, the bad, and the ugly of the 2026 World Cup. It's a tournament full of contradictions. Tradition versus innovation, excitement versus skepticism, football versus baseball.
Only time will tell what legacy this tournament will leave behind. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride.
So will it be a glorious triumph or a spectacular disaster? Who the
Yeah.
fuck knows? But either way, we'll be here to witness it all with a beer in one hand and a middle finger raised to the FIFA overlords with the other.
Until then, keep your balls clean and your cynicism sharp.
And don't forget to tune in to The Deep Dive for more insightful and irreverent analysis of the world's biggest events. All right, you beautiful degenerates. We're back for the final round of this deep dive into the glorious shitstorm that is the 2026 World Cup. We've talked about the format, the hosts, the venues, the sponsorships, those god-awful logos. We even discussed the philosophical implications of artificial turf.
We've explored the logistics, the controversies, the financial shenanigans, the sheer audacity of FIFA's vision for this mega tournament. But there's one crucial element we haven't delved into yet. The fans.
Yeah, where the hell are these poor bastards going to celebrate, commiserate, and generally lose their minds during this month-long footballing frenzy?
Well, FIFA, in their infinite wisdom, has designated 5 cities across North America as official fan fest locations.
Fan fest? Is that what they call it? Those giant beer-soaked mosh pits where fans gather to watch the games on massive screens and collectively lose their inhibitions?
Essentially, yes. Think of it as a football-themed carnival with a healthy dose of national pride and enough alcohol to sedate a small country.
Sounds like my kind of party. So where are these epicenters of football-induced mayhem located?
We've got Houston, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Seattle, and Vancouver.
So a nice spread across the U.S. and Canada with a token nod to the Pacific Northwest. But I gotta ask, no love for Mexico. The country that lives and breathes football gets left out of the FanFest fun.
It does seem like a bit of an oversight, especially considering Mexico's passionate fan base and their long-standing footballing tradition.
Maybe FIFA's worried about those Mexican fans getting a little too enthusiastic. And imagine the tequila-fueled chaos. They'd probably need a whole army just to keep things under control.
Let's hope the designated FanFest cities are prepared for an influx of, shall we say, spirited fans.
I'm picturing a sea of jerseys, face paint, and questionable chants. There's got to be some epic people watching opportunities at these events.
Undoubtedly. It's a chance for fans from all corners of the globe to come together united by their love of the beautiful game, their shared passion, and probably a few too many beers.
It's like a microcosm of the World Cup itself, with all its glory, its madness, and its undeniable allure. Speaking of the bigger picture, let's zoom out for a moment and consider the long-term implications of this supersized World Cup.
It's a watershed moment for the sport. 48 teams, 3 host countries, a tournament that spans a continent. This isn't just a World Cup, it's a statement.
It's FIFA flexing its muscles, showing the world that football is a global force, a financial juggernaut, and a cultural phenomenon that can't be contained.
But is bigger always better? Will this expanded format enhance the tournament or dilute its essence?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mm.
Will we see more upsets, more Cinderella stories, more moments of unexpected brilliance? Or will we be subjected to a month of predictable blowouts and lackluster performances?
Only time will tell. The 2026 World Cup is a gamble, a grand experiment that could either revolutionize the sport or backfire spectacularly.
It's a high-stakes game, and the whole world is watching. But even if this whole thing turns out to be a colossal clusterfuck, at least it'll be entertaining.
That's the beauty of football, isn't it? It's unpredictable, it's emotional, it's full of surprises, and even when it's at its worst, it's still pretty damn captivating.
So there you have it, folks. We've explored the ins and outs, the highs and lows, the triumphs and potential disasters of the 2026 World Cup.
We've dissected the format, the venues, the politics, the financial machinations, and the sheer audacity of FIFA's vision.
We've laughed, we've cried, we've questioned our sanity, and we've come to the conclusion that this World Cup is going to be one hell of a ride.
So buckle up, you beautiful bastards, and prepare yourselves for a month of footballing, frenzy, cultural clashes, and enough drama to make a Shakespearean tragedy look like a kindergarten play.
And don't forget to tune in to The Deep Dive for more insightful, irreverent, and occasionally profane analysis of the world's biggest events. Until then, keep your balls clean, your beers cold, and your cynicism sharp.